I'm Fiona Elder and I work with the Oxford Group as a senior consultant and coach credentialed with the ICF. I want to talk today about being blind to difference. You see, our work at the Oxford Group is all about unlocking leadership potential for businesses around the world. And this has a real resonance for me as our commercial and public funded organisations impact and are impacted by society, communities and human connection. I believe that we cannot separate our interest in humanity from our interest in leadership. It's in the same arena when we're looking to build engagement and trust within our organisations. I studied engineering in the 1980s and us women made up around 10% of the students on my course. I was not unduly bothered, was as comfortable with the lads as the girls, and can genuinely thank my parents for bringing me up in a way that gave me the confidence that I was an equal. However, I soon experienced in a small way what it was like to be a minority. A student event was advertised with the RSVP standing for rape, sex and voluntary pillage. And my complaint was genuinely greeted with surprise. And that brings me up to the present time. We know from working with organisations that many situations when individuals feel excluded, those that make them feel less than, not valued, and that they don't quite belong, those situations result from a lack of awareness and not deliberate malevolent intent. We also know that those in minorities experience these regularly. I was brought up in the belief that seeing everyone as the same was the way to build a great society. Hence I was colourblind, gender blind, and blind to many forms of difference. I recognise I still am, and yet hopefully less so, as I and my colleagues are working to educate ourselves. We have learned that ignoring difference does not accelerate a fair and just society. Maybe it would if we could go back to the year dot and start with a blank sheet of paper. But history got there before us and has created systemic privilege and disadvantage. A simple example of that is I was taught by teachers who looked like me. My school classmate with dark skin never in 14 years of school education saw a face like hers at the front of the class. So we know that individuals with common characteristics experience the world differently through no actions of their own. A wise colleague of mine suggested an early question in building new relationships. It's this: I'm curious, how might who we are and our differences be useful or get in the way of the work we're going to do? I suspect it is as useful in tried, tested and long-running relationships. It would just sound like this. I'm curious, we've never talked about this before. How might who we are and our differences be useful or get in the way of our work? At the Oxford Group, we do a lot of work with leaders, supporting them to have conversations that build trusting relationships. These work better if you discuss differences as well as synergies. So deliberately moving on from not noticing, that is the conscious or unconscious blindness, through to acceptance of diverse views and experience, ending up at appreciation of difference and alternative perspectives. You see, creativity and innovation will be driven from the messy disagreements and contrasting views, and wisdom allows us to stay appreciative when the differences bring a healthy dose of conflict. As ever, you can find yourself on shifting sand if you jump into conversations with others before you've had some serious conversations with yourself. So I want to leave you with some questions that we work with to encourage clients to build awareness of their own blindness to difference. What messages were you taught about ignoring difference? For example, colour blindness. Secondly, how do you feel when individuals from minority groups talk about their common experiences and needs? And finally, in your working environment, how may you have increased the sense of not belonging for those within any minority group? My aim in the work we do is to create curiosity and a desire for discussion. So please get in touch if you want to pick up this subject and conversation with us.